Alright, in this video we're going to clean up and base and label two models. I'm using two separate techniques. These are tools that have existed in D3Splint for a while, but I haven't really had time to promote them because I've been focused on the Splint workflow. So first thing we're going to do is collapse the Splint panel, come down here to the model operations, and for this bottom model I'm going to show you a cut-based approach, and for the top model I'm going to show you a paint or selection-based approach. I'm going to select the mandibular object by left-clicking here. Let's check our time in the video recording. So 37 seconds. We're going to plane cut this open model and just click and drag and trim off the parts below our cut. And this is going to cut all the way through. I might trim that. And the only thing you want to be careful for is that you're not creating any dangling or loose parts out away from the model, and that you don't actually accidentally clip off the tip of a cusp or something. So this is a good technique if you need to just lop off big pieces, but its limitation is that it can cut all the way through the model, and sometimes that can be hard to control. So for this model, that's perfect. And what I'm going to do is look at this model from above and from the side and try to orient the occlusal plane to be flat to this red line. And that's pretty much already done, but there's quite a bit of curve here. That way when we add our base, we can force that base to be flat with respect to this green line and only extrude it with respect to the blue line. We'll use a different technique for the next model. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and hollow this model out. I'm going to left click on the flat plane there, press hollow model, and maybe choose 2.75. The value you choose just depends on how strong your resin is and how much resin you want to save. Alright, so now that that's hollowed out, we can add some text to the side. So we're going to scroll down here and go into the text labeling. Type the patient name or whatever identifier you want. Pick how deep you want to emboss or how far out you want the text to protrude. And click Stencil Text Label. From there we're going to click and drag, and then right click on the flat of the model to snap the view so that we're looking right at this flat spot, and press P to project. Now in this case I want to show you how it had a little bit of a difficult time adapting over this really heavy curve here. So you want to try to pick an area that's a little bit more flat. And now we can see that even though this area is curved and has some contour, that this text adapts really well. Press enter when done. We'll go ahead and emboss these negatively into the model wall. And then we'll finalize it if the result here looks clean like it does. So sometimes, especially with text, you can have Boolean failures. So what I do is I stage the Boolean operation and give you a preview. If it's successful, you click finalize. So that's why there's a little extra step there. Alright, so with me jabbering, that took about 4 minutes. So let's go ahead and do the top model, and I promise not to talk as much. Alright, in this case we're going to use the paint model selection tools, and the easiest one is the lasso cut. So shout out to Baron Grutter for showing me how to use the straight side of the lasso. I've been doing it this way my whole life, where you click and drag and have to have a smooth hand, and that makes it a little bit easier to get into places like here on the palate where the plane cut would try to cut parts of the model off that you want to leave, like the back parts of the molar. I'm going to paint these little coat tails off, and alright, that looks good to me. So now we're going to delete painted. We're done painting, so we're going to press finish paint sculpt. Then we're going to delete loose parts to get rid of these little tags. Now on the previous model we added a base that was flat to this green line. In this case we're going to add a base that is the best fit to the perimeter of the model. So it takes a tiny bit of time to actually assess what that best fit plane is. And in this case we had cut it pretty flat, so it it more or less is flat to the world anyway. But you can see it's at a slightly different angle. If you're unhappy with that, you can come back and plane cut that again, but you want to use the closed model plane cutting. Pick your plane and then choose which side you're going to cut off. Alright, and we're going to apply that cut to make sure that it, again, you get a preview of the cut. If you like it, you press apply. So now let's stencil the patient's name again on here. We'll right click to snap our view flat, and we'll pivot just a little bit, project it, accept it. This time we'll emboss it in the positive way. Alright, everything looks good, so we will finalize that. Oh, I need to select the model, I think, to do that, but I think I figured it out. Let's check. Great. So now that's handled, and lastly, we will hollow this one. So I hollowed the other one first and then labeled it. In this case, we'll label then hollow. Doesn't really matter. I would guess that it's a tiny bit faster to hollow and then label, because adding the label technically adds some more geometry and mesh for the offsetting to process. So this is probably slightly less efficient, but to the matter of seconds. So there we go. So again, about 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I think it was 4:40. I'll review this video and hopefully my math is good there. But pretty quick. For really simple models from trio scans, you can get it under 2 minutes to do all this. If you have one that's got a lot of defects where you have to trim it off, you're looking at 5 minutes. So 2 minutes for an expert on a simple case, maybe a little less. 5 minutes for someone just starting out or on a more complex case. Alright, thanks for watching.